Good day, everyone, and a warm welcome to our Shadowmatch system webinar. The topic this afternoon in South Africa is the psychology of teams. It's great to see all of you, a lot of familiar names and faces and some new names as well. We trust that you will find the session insightful and that it will be of value to you. A few administrative arrangements. You will notice that your microphone is currently on forced mute. It will remain like that for the duration of the webinar. Towards the end of the session, I will enable the setting for you to unmute your microphone, and then you're welcome to ask your questions and interact live in a discussion. In the meantime, you're welcome to post questions in the chat. I will handle the questions towards the end and present the questions to Peter. And then it's not necessary for you to ask your question should you not wish to. My name's Lizette de Villiers. I will be the host, and I'm going to hand to Peter de Villiers, the author and functional developer of the Shadowmatch system, and currently still head of research and development at Shadowmatch. I think without any further ado, thank you very much, Peter. Over to you.
Thank you, Lizette, and welcome everybody. We have a lot of work to do this afternoon, and we have only an hour. So I'm not going to waste time with additional information that that actually don't have any value for our topic. Just a few comments on teams and the dynamic and the psychology of people, individuals in a team, and the psychology of the collective behavior of a team. There are hundreds of theories about teams, hundreds, if not thousands. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, of theories about the individual in the team and how the individual functions within different teams and how our teams function collectively and also in sub-teams and so on. We at Shadowmatch work with a behavioral map. So we measure what people the behavior of people. We measure the patterns in the behavior. We refer to it as habits, and we work with that as the strongest determinator of how people will function in a team. Now, if you are part of the Shadowmatch, bigger Shadowmatch collective user group and community, in future you will hear this from me many times. People function in a positive relationship when the parties to that relationship approve each other's behavior. That's it. There are many other relationship theories. There are many other ideas and many other research papers being published, but people function in a relationship when the parties to the relationship approve each other's behavior. If they do not approve each other's behavior, then the relationship is under pressure and it takes strain, and then it doesn't work anymore. This happens between two people, between three, between five, between 20, between 100, even between communities. And this is why we fight. This is why we shoot one another. This is why we make wars, because we do not approve each other's behavior or the perception that we have of each other's behavior and what we read into it. The bottom line is we do not approve what we do and what others do. With that in mind, let's start with the process. I will start with a few notes, and then from there on, other side. Let me just get to that. Yeah, this is where we want to be. Helen Keller said, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. Now, this is very true, but there is a side comment. Alone we can cause so little damage, but together we can cause so much damage. This is a positive statement, but it could also be a negative statement. A team has got the power to destroy, and that destructive power of a team must not be underestimated. But also on the positive side, a team has the ability to build much more than what a set of individuals can do independently. So let's have a look at the different team types. The first team type is homogeneous teams. where we have a team, they all do the same thing. We all sell computers. We are a sales team. We all sell these computers and we sell it to businesses. So we all do the same team. We have the same goal. We have the same outcome. We have the same purpose. We work together. We support one another with a single aim, and that is to sell computers. So it's a team where the task and the individual tasks of team members and the goal is similar. There's a similarity between the team members. Then the second team type that we work with is a fragmented team. Parts of the team build different components of the same end result. We all build the same house, but we work on different parts of the house. I'm the plumber, the next person is the electrician, the next person does the roof, the next one does the bricks, and we can carry on, and the tiles. We all build the same house. We are dependent on one another. We have to do these things in a coordinated manner, and we might wait for one another, so we cannot put the roof on before the walls are built. Yeah. But we all have separate tasks, skills, and functions that are interdependent, and we work towards the same end result, and that is to deliver a fully built house. Then we get diverse team. It's different from fragmented teams. Only the goal is the same. Everybody does something different. We are the medical team, and we work in a theater where serious procedures are done. So everybody has a different task, and we work with the same outcome. The goal is the same, but the task of the individuals in the team is very diverse, but they are extremely dependent on one another, and every person is a critical role player in the team. So these are very diverse in their functions. It's different from the fragmented team, where the fragmented team work on sort of as the same building entity. But in a diverse team, there are some members that could work on something completely separate from the goal. But they still fulfill a role towards meeting a successful goal. Then member independent teams. Most project teams are like this. So a member interdependent team, we are dependent on one another. We wait for each other. I can't carry on if you don't finish your part. So we see this in project teams. We see this in IT projects. We see it in all kinds of business process development and business process re-engineering projects, where there's a sequence of events, and the team members they wait for one another. I cannot carry on unless this has been done. So we are very dependent on one another, and there's an interdependency in the team, so that some things stand if the previous person does not finish and complete their task. There's an emphasis difference in this from the diverse team and the fragmented team, and that is that there's a specific sequence of events, and the sequence of events determines the success and the progress of the process and the outcome or the project. So we must wait for a specific sequence in the events before we can carry on, and this is where people are being frustrated extremely by team members. And then there are member independent teams. We can't help each other. A team of chess players at a tournament, they can't help one another. They can watch. The other players can watch me play against my opponent, but they cannot help me. We are part of the same chess playing team, but they cannot help me. When we are in the game, they cannot help me. They must just hold thumbs that I play a proper game. So It's where the team functions independently and the team members, for various reasons, cannot help one another during the delivery time of the outcome. And then obviously now, since COVID, we have virtual teams where team members are not physically in the same space, but they could function within the context of any of the above. So we can all sell computers. We can be a fragmented team, not building a house, obviously, because it's a physical thing. We can be a team of diverse tasks and team members. We can be interdependent, we can be independent, but we do not have physical contact and we do not share the same physical space with one another. Obviously, this makes it very challenging because we do not have the opportunity to really make contact with one another other than the virtual meetings that we have from time to time. Now, primary challenges for team success. This is the list that is, and some of these lists are published there's a list of 3 and there's a list of 5 and there's a list of 20 and they overlap with one another. But it seems like these are the critical sort of team challenges that could make up or break a team. And if you make a note of this, you have quite a good list of what makes a team, what challenges a team to be successful. The first thing that everybody share in all the comments that are being made about this is if there's an uneven individual performance result in the team. In other words, 5 team members work very hard. They deliver all the things that they take responsibility for on time and on target and on budget. But 2 members of the team just don't. If we have a team meeting, they are late and they have an excuse and they haven't done it and we have to follow up with them and we ask them again. It compromises the success of a team and it can eventually break up the team. It's one of the primary frustrations for a team if the team members do not perform with equal quality, delivery time, speed, and urgency, because then the ones that do deliver become frustrated. And what then happens is they take over the job of the incompetent team members, and then those team members are just become passive and ride along. And we see it very often with students at a university, a college, and even a high school when they are in study groups. They become so frustrated with those individuals who do not do what they are being asked to do, that they just do their jobs as well. And then the passive ones benefit from the same results. And this frustrates people to the ends of the earth. When team member roles are not clear. This is a very complicated statement when the tasks allocated to people in a team are not clearly defined. The team becomes frustrated and the individuals become frustrated. So we must have the roles of team members very clear and it must be transparent to everybody. So everybody must know what the other team members are responsible for and what their tasks are. Team members do not know who prefers to do what. This is probably the complicated part of a team and the success of a team. Let me give you an example. I might not want to work with people. I do not have good people habits and good people relationship capabilities. So there's a difficult client. So the team decides that I must go see the client. And then I feel that I'm a bit pushed, but I will do it. But I'm frustrated with the fact that the team gave the task to me. And I'm irritated and I irritate the client and the client becomes irate and it becomes a fight. And I report back to the team that we couldn't get a solution to the problem. The problem was that I was allocated the wrong task. So this frustrates team members to the ends of their capability to deal with the team challenges. And that is when tasks are allocated and the team tends to then put pressure on the individual to take ownership of the task, and it doesn't sit with their natural behavior preferences. Team members do not know who doesn't fit specific roles. Let's say there's a long-term role in a team that I must do I have a specific task allocated to me over a long period of time, and I have sort of a permanent seat on the team. And it's a role that doesn't work for me. I don't want to fulfill this in the team. I don't want to be that person in the team. Then it frustrates the team, and I will show you how it can frustrate me. Team members do not trust one another. There are some scholars and lecturers and academics that put this one on top of the list as the most important one of all. I'm not completely sure that this is the number one, but let's go with the majority of vote. But in the majority of publications, you will see that trust amongst the individuals in the team is being set as one of the most important aspects of a successful team. Now, trust is being built, obviously, if we approve each other's behavior and we stick to our targets and the outcomes that we have to deliver. If we don't, then that trust is gone. Now, what we must also take into consideration is that a breakaway team build session where we jump off a building and the team members must catch me so that I learn how to trust them doesn't work. It's a nice adventure, and it's something that demonstrates trust in a very nice way, but it's an event that doesn't really work in the long term. It works in that event. Obviously, if they don't catch me, I might be dead. So the team doesn't have a strong and competent leader, or leadership principles are not in place. This is very important, and in some publications you will find this as number 1 or 2. It's a competition between the team leader as the pivotal point for team success and trust amongst team members. I think the team leader is more important than trust, because the team leader can facilitate the process of building trust if he's a competent team leader or a manager. But if there's not a strong and competent leader that takes ownership of the team direction and goals and processes, or they do not have clear leadership principles in place. For instance, a leadership principle might be that if we disagree, we vote. And if we don't have a 60% majority, then we discuss it until we get a 60% majority. So these are some of the principles of decision making if the leadership is not seated in one person that could make a call, and then obviously that call must be taking the team into consideration, and also the goals and the processes. One or more team members function as destructive agents in the team. There are absolute horror stories to tell around this point, where a very successful functional team got a new team member into the team, and that new member, for some reason, destroys the team, completely destroys the team. This is a very high risk for a successful team. If the team has been working for a long period of time together, a new team member can be a high risk for the team. Next Wednesday, we will talk about the onboarding process during the recruitment, and this point will get a lot of attention during our next discussion. Negative subgroups. This is something that every team must be very aware of, and that is when there is a negative subgroup that forms in the team. They are unhappy about something. 3 of the 10 team members agree on this unhappiness, and then they start to drum up some energy about their unhappiness about something. And as this thing gains momentum, they become unhappy about other things as well. And then the talk is, but whilst we are now talking about the unhappiness, they have taken my parking bay and the toilets have been moved to the 2nd floor instead of the 3rd floor. this thing escalates. And these negative subgroups can become a source of very negative energy within the team. And one must be very aware of the risk that these negative subgroups can form. I've worked with large teams in my life, and I've seen, for instance, I've seen a Christian community, a church, a specific congregation being destroyed, completely destroyed by a negative subgroup in that congregation. It spilled over into the board of the congregation. It became such a negative gathering of toxic energy that eventually the entire community couldn't function as a church community anymore. So one must be very careful when these negative subgroups start to develop. Change is a huge risk for a team. Change, when anything changes, it is a huge risk for the team, for any team, because for some reason, people struggle with change that is not properly managed, and we struggle to manage change properly. So whether it's change of a building, change of processes, change of the manager, change of the leader, change of the work content of the team, the direction of the team, the processes that they have been following, any form of change is a risk for a team, and their success could be compromised during the process of change, and it could be a long-term challenge for the team. And then obviously stagnation. The team doesn't develop, there's no growth, there's no movement. They just keep on doing things as they have done it previously, and last year and the previous year and 10 years ago. And then what happens is they build a resistance to change. And once there's a set resistance to change and you try to change it, then the team tend to fall apart and they cannot function and change anymore. So stagnation is a high risk for a team. And we work against it by continuously changing the small dynamics in the team so that they are continuously aware of the fact that things can change, will change, and must change. Then what makes a team succeed? This is a space where we must place leadership on top. This is unfortunately for all those of us who are in leadership roles and leadership positions with a team that we are responsible for. Leadership is the most critical component of a successful team. And if a team doesn't function optimally, the first step is to take a very close look at the leadership and the role that the leader plays and how the team and the leader relates to one another. This is an absolute critical point of team success. Clear goals. Teams with a clear goal, they know where they are working to. They know what the end result of this process is. They know how they play a critical role towards reaching a clear set end goal, and they focus on the process and they follow the process, but they know exactly where they are going and where the end line and the winning line is. And this could be something that they repeat monthly or annually or seasonal or whatever it might be, but there must be a clear goal, and then we focus on the process so that we reach the goal by fulfilling the process. Bonding. If the team doesn't have a strong sense of community, it's very tough. And this is where the virtual reality of business and work compromises the success of a team very easily, because it's very tough to bond as a small community of team members if we don't have a physical space that we share with one another. And it is for this reason that team onboarding and the onboarding process is critical, because if we have a team that has been functioning in a virtual workspace, working from home, and there's a new team member that comes into that team, how do we bond? How do we get that team member to become part of the team if we do not have that shared physical presence with one another? So I will show you a little bit later in our session today how we can do it, but this is part of our discussion next week, how to promote and to make people bond and build good relationships despite the fact that we are not working in the same physical space. Communication, obviously, it must be on the list. It's a standard aspect of a team, transparent and honest. Obviously, we struggle with the transparent and honest part of communication, and sometimes we are convinced that the team mustn't know this and the team shouldn't know that and the team mustn't be aware of this. I think it's the risk of the team knowing is less than the risk of the team finding out later and they then say, but you didn't tell me. So it's this is quite important to be within the limits of what we really can do, because some of the things we just cannot make public. But to the edge of that, we must be as transparent and honest. And if there is something that we cannot share with the team, we must say why. We must say we cannot now talk about this because of this and this and this, and it must be the reasons must obviously be quite solid. Equality, what is good for one is good for all. We struggle with this. Team members struggle with this, and team leaders struggle with this, and the world is struggling with this because we have this idea that I don't know where it comes from, and it's something that is embedded in the history of mankind, but we tend not to treat people with equal status to all. It's just something, and this is not only based on gender, it's not only based on race and language, but there are so many things. Older people and younger people are excluded from some discussions, or sometimes older people are excluded from some discussions. And what is good for the older people is not good for the, and we can carry on with this. We mustn't do it. We must not do it. What is good for one is good for all. That's it, finish. Then role clarification. Obviously, our roles must be clear. Everybody must know what my role is, and I must take ownership of that role, and I must stand that ground, and I must fulfill that role in honesty, and I must deliver, but it must be clear. This is what my role is, and this is what I have to do as part of the team. Understanding behavioral preferences, habits, and working with it. I will show you this on the Shadowmatch team analysis system, but we need to understand that some people are task people, others are people, and others are adventurous, and so on. And some are cautious, some are independent, and we must respect that and work with equal value to all those team members and the subgroup that they form based on their habits. Then proper team onboarding, we will discuss this next week in detail. Onboarding process when new members join a team. This is important, especially when we work as a virtual team. It's not something that we can just leave to chance or leave to what must be, what will be. We must manage this process properly, because if we don't, it can become a team risk. Absence of negative group forming, we discussed that. We must work against subgroups that could form, well, until recently, we had the group in a team that smoke. And then every hour they go onto the balcony and they stand and they smoke and they discuss things. And sometimes those discussions are not all that positive. Or they are in a club and they travel together in one vehicle from a specific area to the work, and they form a subgroup, or there's some irritation in the team, or something is not working the way they want to, and they start to feel one another, who agrees with me on this, and then the negative energy starts to develop. Absence of negative group forming must obviously be prevented. Then functional subgroups. This is something that we must be aware of, and that is that some of the subgroups in a team can be extremely successful, and they can build the team if we use the subgroups to function optimally, and we put them together to be optimal in the way they function. And they must understand what their role is as a subgroup in a team. So it's a small team within a team. a small group of individuals that they work together on certain aspects that the team must take responsibility for. And then we go on to the individual and the team. Now, this is quite a challenging part of team building and team analysis, because I can show you in some of the results on Shadowmatch, some people are just not team people. I'm one of it. I'm one of them. I'm not a team person. It frustrates me. Working as part of a team frustrates me. I can work as part of a team, but I want my part of the job to be crisp and clean, do it on my own, and then present it to the team. We can discuss then, but I cannot sit in a room and we think together, and then there are moments of silence and nobody knows what. I can't do it. I just cannot do it. So some people are team dependent. Then we get the person to the opposite of who I am. They cannot function independently. They must have a team around it. I spoke to people during this COVID season that we have, that they became so frustrated by working on their own that they went to a coffee shop just to have people around them. They didn't talk to anybody unless they placed an order for coffee or a sandwich or something. But they just need people. And sometimes in the extreme, they would even start to discuss their work with the person next to them, irrespective of the fact that they have never seen this person before. But they are team dependent. They need to connect to other people to become optimally in their capabilities to function. Then some prefer a balance between team and independent work context. I'll show you that on the system. The majority of people like a balance between working as an independent person and working as part of a team. And we must respect that, allow for them to work on their own, allow for them to work as part of the team. And then we come to me. Others are team averse. They don't like it. They don't like it. They will be with a team for an hour and then only next week again. Next hour next week, not this week. My team points are finished now. I cannot do more team now. So I'm out. And my team points can get depleted very quickly. Then some are team destroyers. I don't know why we have these people. If you bring them into a team, they immediately start with a process that is destructive. And it's so bad to say this, but it's as if it is their mission to destroy teams. I've seen this so many times in my life, and I've seen it over and over and over. And when we go back in their history, you will see and you'll find that they've done it in the previous team, they've done it in the previous team and the previous one and the previous one. They have this ability and this pattern of destructive behavior in a team. They will set people up against each other. They want to find a reason for an argument, etc., etc. And then obviously we get team builders, people who are in their nature positive towards a team, and they always build a team. They always bring people together. I will show you in the Shadowmatch results how and where they sit in the subgroups. Then team motivators, people that bring positive energy to the team. They always talk positive about people in the team. They talk people up, they help, they motivate, they engage with people in a way that brings positive energy for the outcomes that the team has got responsibilities for. Some of these motivators struggle to work on their own, but some of them work in a very balanced manner between the team and solo independent work. Then team supporters. This is also a role that I will show you in the system. These are people that do not really work as part of the team, but they work for the team. I'll show you on the system how the system can identify them. They work for the team, so they provide a support function to the team, but they are not part of the working engine of the team. So they play this support role of being sort of on the sideline, and it's sort of like the coach or the trainer of a soccer team. The trainer doesn't play the game, but he's there to support the players to play the game optimally. So we have a lot of examples like this. Team coordinators, they help with timing, planning, and aligning the team. They are always aware of where are we with the process, who might fall behind, who waits for who, where are we in terms of delivery times, and they coordinate and they time and they plan so that we stay in line with our timelines and our goals and our gates. Team anchors, they hold the team together, they are focused and in harmony with each other. Team anchors are people holding the team together from a behavioral point of view. They form the glue that hold people together in the team, and their position is always sort of in the middle between lines of tension in the team. And the team, if a team doesn't have these team anchors, they struggle to function optimally. And then the team must understand their role. Every individual must understand their role in the team. We discussed that in detail. So what I will do now is I'm going to show you on the Shadowmatch system how all these things can be identified once we are aware of it, and once we have the Shadowmatch behavioral results on the system so that we can create a team. So I'm going to show you, this is what the team graph looks like on Shadowmatch. So all these people, there are 15 of them, all of them have done the Shadowmatch worksheet. So there's an algorithm in the system, and it takes all their results and it then put the results in the team analysis graph, and this is what it then presents. So if we look at this gray area there, this is what the team intensities of behavior looks like as a collective. So if these 15 individuals are to be made one persona or one individual, and that individual has to behave as a single collective entity, this is what the team as a collective will behave, or their preference of behavior will be like. Now, let me share just a few things with you. This gray line at the on the end of the circle says this is not a very strong team. The team strength is functional when necessary, and you'll see why. So the team is okay, but it's not a strong team of highly effective, cohesive bonding amongst the team members. There's always a looming risk that tension can build up in the team. So now what we see is that, for instance, on change, you can see that there is change. The mouse over will explain it. The team is soft on change, but the team is very strong on maintaining the known. So this is a stretch graph. That point is always the opposite of that point. Active exploration of the unknown. Change is, I change the known world to be better. Active exploration is, I go explore the unknown. This team is quite soft on that, quite strong. Well, stronger on the other side of structure and discipline. And we can carry on with all these aspects of the team. I just want to show you an example, one more example. The preference of the team as a collective to work with people compared to the preference of the collective of the team to work with task and material things. Can you see that there's a strong preference to rather work with people than with objects? But now let's have a look at all the team members, and all these names are just names, just play names, so it doesn't represent anybody that anybody might know. So these are how the individuals are being distributed along the team, that gray team behavior. I want to show you two people. I'm going to take them all away, and then I want to show you Sophia and Terry. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that this can be a challenge. There's nothing wrong with these two people. Nothing. Remember, we do not work in Shadowmatch with right and wrong, good and bad. We don't use those words. But there's a challenge if we bring them into the same room, because things might go into stress, tension, and even conflict. Because on being quick and efficient, Sophia will want the things to be done yesterday, whilst Terry wants to do things next week. On accurate and attention to detail, Sophia wants everything to be perfect, and she wants it yesterday, whilst Terry wants things next week, and don't push the accuracy and attention to detail that hard. It's not necessary. So now they have to work together. Now we put them in as part of a team. We make them part of a team. Let me highlight them for you. There's Terry. I'll just want to show you again so that you see. There she is, that person that's highlighted now. There she sits. The rest of the team, on being accurate and attention to detail, has got a very narrow distribution of points. Let's take them away and you'll see immediately. There, very nice. There's no reason for the team to fight in terms of the speed and efficiency with which things are done. There's a narrow distribution of behavioral intensities. But now we put these two individuals in the team, those two, and suddenly we have somebody who pulls back and says, slow down, and somebody that says, I cannot believe this team is this slow. And now what does the team say? But we've always been this slow. The team says, so where do you come from? We've always done things at this speed and we never had a fight. So we brought Sophia in, and suddenly we have somebody that puts immense pressure on the team. Let me just show you something interesting. On the people intensity side and the task intensity side, Sophia says, no, guys, this is not about the people. This is about a job that needs to be done. Sorry, we have a job to be done, and we must deliver this job quickly. We must be efficient and perfect with it, and we must focus on the task. What about the people? Well, the people must come along. And then the rest of the individuals, let's look at somebody here. That purple person there, is that individual there. Let's unmark and mark, let's unmark those and say, let's have a look at this individual. And we compare this individual to Sophia. Then this individual, who is Jennifer, says, no, Sophia, wait. We need to give our full attention to the people. The task can wait. And Sophia says, no, you have it wrong. We are here for a job, and the job must be delivered. And the team then says, well, to be quite frank, these individuals will go on the soft side with the people and say, no, the people must come along, but they will also go on the soft side with the task and say, but the task should not override the priorities we give to people. And Sophia says, no, there's a specific priority here. The task is the priority. Now, the point that I need to make, dear delegates, is that we need to understand this. And the team members must understand that these people there's a risk that we are not in harmony with one another. Do we want all the members of the team to be very closely related to one another? Obviously not, especially when it's a diverse team where everybody has another task and we work on a project. But we need to understand the roles and the preferences in the behavior patterns of individuals, because I cannot now go to Sophia and say, Sophia, slow down and be more inaccurate. So Sophia, don't read your email. Don't check the detail of your spreadsheet. Just send it. And don't send it, don't be in a rush. I cannot do it because it won't happen. I will frustrate Sophia to the ends of her capacity to deal with it. And then eventually she becomes a destroyer a destructive source in the team because we do not understand her behavioral patterns. Now, I want to show you something else. Here we have, again, we have Terry. Now, the tension that could build up, the rest of the team members must understand that the tension that could be built up between Terry and Sophia must be absorbed by the other team members. The individuals here in the middle, Tracy and Don, can play the role of bringing those extreme behaviors to a balance point and say, okay, let's calm this thing down. Let's cool it down and say, what is the middle point? Because they will easily hold the middle point of balance between those extremes. But this graph gives the team leader and the team members an incredible source of information to understand how we can help people to function in a team without building up tension and stress that is unnecessary. Let's spend 5 minutes on how Shadowmatch allocate people into different roles based on their behavioral patterns. This is quite an interesting example and an example of a team. And you will see that we said in the beginning that the team is not that strong. It can become, the team will be functional when necessary, but it's not that strong, cohesive team that really stands their ground together. I want to show you something. On the people's group, there are 8 individuals. There they are. These 8 individuals are in the people's group, and there it's been explained. So they prefer to work, engage with people, and to take the priority of people as a high priority in the working engine of the team. We have on this side the cautious group. Now have a look, there are 8 people in this group. We have the cautious group there. These people are the ones that say, careful, careful, careful. We mustn't go too quickly. We mustn't push the boundaries. We must work within the safe space. We must be, they always alarm the team about red lights and risk factors, and it's an important role. But now have a look what happens. They've got 5 members in this group, 8 members in this group. So what will the agenda be? The agenda of this team will be ruled by these 2 themes. What will happen with the action and task group? There's only one individual there, Sophia. She's the only action and task person. So if Sophia says, hey guys, we've got to move on with this, these 8 will say, whoa, you didn't think about all the other risk factors. And they are the majority by far. So Sophia will be extremely frustrated with the fact that she wants to take action and move on with the task. These people will say, no, wait. Not so quick, not so immediately. Here we have 3 individuals to play an anchor role in the team. When tension builds up, they can bring the team together. Jennifer, Michelle, and Jeff. They can play the anchor role of holding the team together, but it'll be tough for them because we have one person, again, Sophia, in the adventure and change group. And you've seen the graph on the previous analysis, why Sophia is in this group. Here we have somebody, Sophia, again, in the problem solvers group. There we have, that's the adventure group. This is the action and task group. So poor Sophia is alone in 3 of these groups. And now she's up against 8, 5, and 3 trying to hold things together. What happens? Sophia feels, I am outpowered. I am completely outpowered. And despite the fact that I have these high habits and strong behavior patterns, this team is not for me. And now suddenly we have stress and tension in the team. Let's go back and let's have a look. In the independent group there, we have Don. If we take a look at Don, you'll see that he doesn't really fit in any other of the other groups. So he's somebody that can play the role of an independent person to take a critical look and to work for the team rather than be part of the team. So This is somebody that would prefer to serve the team, support the team, but also be critical of the team's capability to do certain things from an outside perspective. So we must allow Don to play his role as an independent person in the team so that we have that perspective on the team's work from the outside. So this is what Shadowmatch does. Obviously, dear delegates, this is a 10-minute overview. It's enough material to do a 3-hour team building session with, if we go into the detail of everybody and everything. But that's what it does. We will again look at it next week. The emphasis will be on other areas in the team capability and the team functions. But this is just to give you an idea of what the system does for teams and how to better understand the dynamics of a team. And with that, back to Lizette. I hope you have learned something. And if I can, I will gladly take your questions, unless Lizette has already dealt with it. Thank you, Lizette. Back to you.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks for another insightful session. One question came up. Maybe you can deal with this first, and then we'll open the floor for more questions. You noted that some people are team destroyers and that they are just always destructive. The question, are there certain habits that indicate that a person will be destructive, or is it always dependent on the context and the team the person is part of? So, you said they are always destructive, but can they, if they are in the right team with the right habits that blend with the habits of the other members in the team, actually be a constructive team member? Or are there certain habits that will always indicate that the person might be destructive? Thank you.
Lizette, this is the exact question that I don't like, because I can give everybody around this virtual table a clear-cut answer on that. But my fear is that the answer that I give will not be always applicable, because, and then what we tend to do is we say, Peter said that if you have this habit, and this habit, you will destroy the team, so get out. Now, we must actually record this so that it's on record, that what I'm saying is it's not a rule. It's not cast in stone. But there are certain individuals with an attitude category 2 and 3 dominant. They are aggressive, and they are either involved aggressive or uninvolved aggressive. But category 2 and 3 is dominant. Amongst their strongest habits is self-confidence, conflict handling, and individual inclination. These individuals function very well in a team where things go their way. So it says, I'm a very nice guy as long as the things go my way. If they are in a team with somebody else that is category 2, high self-confidence, high innovation, high problem solving, etc., those strong task habits, it becomes a fight of note. So we must be aware of the fact that these individuals can function in a team, but the pattern is, what they do is, they get into a team, they fire the team, they get people that become who they want them to be and who will fit their behavioral preferences. So it's not a rule, but there is a pattern that these individuals are very sensitive that they must find a specific team. If they don't have a specific team that they work with, they destroy the team and then they replace them. I don't want to go into detail, but we must watch out for what Elon Musk is going to do with Twitter. I have a sneaky feeling he's going to fire the entire management team because he doesn't tolerate people who opposes him. And that is what they do. They are strong people. They are hard-headed, and the team must play a specific game by specific rules. If that doesn't happen, They have the power to destroy the team and to replace it with a team that they want. And that's the clean answer. That's the clean answer, but it's not cast in stone. Please handle it with care. Okay, next question, Lizette.
Thanks, Peter. The next question, diversity, in my opinion, is very important in a team. To what degree is a Sonia, like the Sonia you had in the team, the person in red, the one that we looked at, a good diverse player, or is she someone who could disrupt a team? Now, before I hand to you, Peter, I think this is where the diversity video that we have under the frequently asked questions on the Shadowmatch website comes into play, because diversity is much more than just habits. But I'll allow Peter to answer. Let me not give my own idea. Thanks, Peter.
Lizette, many years ago, and this is not because I'm old, but it's because many years are many years. I was part of a research project where we had people on a floor that would help individuals to give them direction where they want to be, where they need to be. And the one group spoke Afrikaans, and they were quite loud. You could hear that they are Afrikaans speaking. They were male. The others were Afrikaans speaking, but they were females. The others were English speaking and they were females. The others were English speaking and they were males. So I don't want to go into the rest of the group. There was a young group and an older group. There were different races, etc., etc. And then we watched people as they came in. To which of these groups of supporters do they go for directions where they need to be? It was above 90%. The male Afrikaans-speaking elderly people went to the male Afrikaans-speaking elderly group and say, guys, can you help me in Afrikaans, ouens, waar moet ek heen gaan? It was above 90%, where they selected. They look at all the support people and the directives that they could get. They say, these ones look like I do. I'm going to ask them. This is what we do. Whether we like it or not, this is what we do. Now, what we must keep in mind that diversity in a team has the benefit of innovation, of different perspective, of change, of challenging the ideas of team members. But there's a high risk that conflict in the team can run out of hand. Diversity is the breeding ground for conflict. And it doesn't matter what kind of diversity it might be. It might be that I am high on innovation and somebody is low on innovation. And I say, no, wait. No. That, and you want to stay with this idea that we have been working with for 20 years. And I say, no. I think we can do it in this innovative manner, much, and it becomes a fight. And I've seen this happen. So diversity has a benefit that it helps us to challenge each other's ideas. And in this example that I've shown, yes, it is a benefit to bring her into the team, but then that role must be clarified with the team and say, remember, guys and girls, this person will challenge you. That's part of her role in the team so that they understand it. So diversity has a benefit. It challenges us. It facilitates change. It brings innovation to the table. It brings energy to the table. People must think about what the things that they do because they know that they will be challenged and there are other ideas. But there's a high risk of conflict that can destroy the team. On the other side, if everybody looks the same, we are in a comfort zone, no fights, no differences, but nothing happens. So the team leader and the business must decide, which do we want? My perspective is we must do a proper team analysis for the team, clarify the roles, clarify the preferences and the challenges for each one, and then say, guys, play with this in mind. Know that Sonia will challenge you. Know that Sonia will put you under pressure for time and perfection. And understand that that's her role. That is what brings energy and and drives energy in the team, so that the others do not sit back in a comfort zone. Because the benefit of a comfort zone is we never fight, because we never have something to fight about. And we never disagree because we don't have anything to disagree about. So it's a comfort zone. But if we must just be clear, and this is where the Shadowmatch team building functionality has got so much value for a team. It brings clarity and people can play their roles out. Thanks, Lizette, back to you.
Thanks, Peter. I might just want to add that part of diversity is also our age, our race, our gender. So what we also see is that if we have a team that is diverse in terms of our culture, our race, our age, our likes, our dislikes, where we come from, but we are more the same in terms of our habits, we also achieve a lot. So I think that's what the team manager and the team leader and the company needs to identify is, do we want constant conflict, or do we want teams that are more coherent, but they are already actually diverse, because we are not all female, 25 years of age, coming from the same city, in the same region, in the same country. So that also helps. Those of you that need to run, you're welcome. What I will do now is stop the recording, because we don't want it to run over an hour for too long, and then I will enable the setting for you to unmute your microphone. Some questions came to me directly, so I can handle some of those offline, because some of those are too long to handle in the session. So you don't have to worry, we will address your question via an email. Thank you, everybody. Let me stop the recording, and then you can ask some questions.